handle his own affairs. Why are you calling me to tell me about how sensitive and fragile Jeff Rense is and how his feelings are being hurt, and I'm not hearing from Jeff Rense? And I just told David, I said, listen, this is something between me and Jeff, and if you happen to speak to him again, tell him that if he has a problem, he has my phone number, he has my email address, he can get in touch with me. Well, a week or so later, I get another call from David Duke with the same thing, and my answer was the same as before. Anyway, yesterday's phone call, ladies and gentlemen, was different from the prior three, in that David Duke passed along the message from Jeff Rense that Jeff Rense plans to call the FBI on me. And upon hearing this, I thought, this is the craziest thing I have ever heard. And I said, are you kidding me, David? He said, no, I'm not kidding. I said, okay. I said, all right, well, here's the deal, David. I said, I don't want to hear from you anymore regarding Jeff Rense or this contentious situation that exists between us. Don't ever bring it up with me again. And don't ever allow yourself to be used as a conduit for passing a threat like this along to me, to my wife, and 9 kids. Not if you want to remain on friendly terms with me. Anyway, I thought, all right, there's only one way to find out for myself whether or not this is the truth. So I called Jeff Rense. Now, unbeknownst to Jeff, I had somebody sitting in the background on conference call because I knew it was not legal to record the conversation without Rense's permission, and I knew as soon as he knew that I was recording it, he would hang up. So I had my friend sitting there on conference call listening to everything, and I said, Jeff, is this the truth? Are you actually planning to call the FBI and have them come and pay me and my wife and 9 children a visit? He said, the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security. I said, really? I said, so let me make sure I understand this correctly, Mr. Rense. You are going to get hold of the secret police, the very same entities and agencies that you devote a substantial amount of your website warning everybody about. You're going to sick them on me because I have chosen to speak out against your running these pieces of Zionist disinformation garbage. And he said, that's exactly right. You're threatening my well-being, and you're going to get these dangerous Muslims to do bodily harm to me. Don't call me again. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is where we are now with this thing. And as I said at the beginning of the program, as much as I am loath to open up yet another controversy or another chasm within our movement, there is something particularly troubling and dangerous about this development that all of us need to pay attention to. Now, against his better judgment, my very good friend Mark Dankoff is on the program with me today. Mark and I were talking about this morning, and generally speaking, ladies and gentlemen, I feel very uncomfortable dragging other people into my controversies. Believe it or not, I really do, because there's no quicker way to make enemies of people who otherwise are your friends, no quicker way of doing that than dumping their problems into your life. But I spoke with Mark about this, who was understandably upset and concerned about this, and he mentioned that it might be something that we want to talk about on the program. And I said, are you sure you want to do this, Mark? And he said, absolutely. He said, listen, this isn't the first time I've done crazy things. After all, I worked for John Stadtmiller one time. So, having said that, I'm going to go ahead and bring up my very good friend and co-host of this program, and it is none other than Mark Dankoff of markdankoff.com. Mark, welcome to the program.
Well, it's always good to be on, Mark, and of course I'd like to tell our viewers that I have recently been labeled anonymously by a new pro-Zionist website called J-Hate. J-Hate. And I duly noted to a number of international news sources that J-Hate is not only about hate, it's about cowardice, because the individual putting out this false information about me and about Dr. Paul Sheldon Foote of Cal State Fullerton is doing so anonymously. Interestingly enough, Mark, it seems to me that you're getting a different version of this in terms of what's going on with Jeff Rense. Let me start what I think is the beginning of this conversation. Jeff Rense, with these articles that he was running on his website, would have had a more defensible position, in my judgment, had he said to his readers, look, these articles represent a classic pro-Israel, pro-Zionist, establishment neoconservative line in their presentation of Islamophobia. And these articles indicate that we are all being subjected to a deliberate campaign of thought control and mind control and a manipulation of our thoughts and feelings on behalf of people who not only want to see innocent Muslims attacked domestically in the United States, but even more significant to me, beyond what's happened to Hesham Talawi, my good friend as well, and to this cab driver in New York and so forth, is the fact that the people promoting this stuff want to start a third world war, folks. They want to attack Iran preemptively. They wanted to kill thousands, potentially millions of innocent people in an expansion of this obscene military situation that we have involved ourselves in the Middle East. And there are a lot of additional Americans as well, decent, law-abiding, patriotic Americans who will die in our armed services as a result of this propaganda. It will flush our economy down the tube, what is left of it. It's already being flushed, of course. And that ultimately this whole situation could literally destroy whatever remains of the United States as a viable nation state. Now, had Rense put his promotion of these neocon articles in that context, with an editorial explanation of that sort in terms of why he was running it, then I would say fine. But he clearly has not done that and has contributed, deliberately or otherwise, to this dangerous business of mixed signals on the whole question of neoconservatism and on the whole question of Zionism and whether or not this is where true American conservatives and patriots need to be ideologically. He is guilty of the same thing in that regard. That the certain elements of the Constitution Party have been guilty of. Many elements in the Tea Party clearly are guilty of this. As a matter of fact, it's very clear that the Tea Party, which was born out of Ron Paul's 2008 presidential run, has in effect been hijacked by people who represent the neoconservative, pro-Zionist, pro-war party element that has nothing to do with historic American conservatism, has nothing to do with real Christianity or any of the things that we claim to hold so dear. To the extent that Rense has joined in that obfuscation, the obfuscation that has been undertaken by elements of the Constitution Party, elements of the Tea Party, and some of these types of outlets, he has contributed tragically to the same sort of thing that, in my judgment, Alex Jones has, who has made a series of YouTube videos that I have seen through you, Mark, which in effect are promoting the notion that these so-called anti-Zionist, anti-Israel activists are quote-unquote mentally ill and so forth and so on. For the record, I have sent Jones' YouTube videos to a number of international media outlets, including one abroad that had given him a bit of coverage on their international television network, just so that they could see for themselves the talking that this guy is doing out of both sides of his mouth on the issue of Israel and Zionism and on who it is that has largely been responsible for the loss of domestic American freedoms in this country. Now, having said that, then we move to the next phase of this, which you've already covered, Mark, and that is that Jeff Rense, based upon your explanation of this to me and based upon your explanation to the listeners, with a very credible third party being willing to testify under oath that this is in fact what happened. Jeff Rense has taken this debate to a level where he is threatening to bring upon you and your family all of the attack watchdogs in the American national security establishment, including Homeland Security, that many of us on the honest American right believe are in the process of creating a police state in this country, and doing so largely at the behest of the Zionist government of Israel. Mm-hmm. I would like for the listeners who want that statement substantiated to go to, if you're near a Barnes & Noble or you're near a Borders or a bookstore of that type, go and check out these Homeland Security magazines that are on these news racks. Browse them, and you will see the extent to which Israel and Israeli intelligence control, manipulate, infiltrate, and help to run the whole Homeland Security industry in our country. Not simply our official federal Homeland Security Department, but also all of these private concerns and educational institutes and so forth that are getting in on the Homeland Security dollar that is available to them if they lend their auspices to the promotion of these seminars and so forth. And it's all up front. The Institute of Terrorism Research and Response, for example, ITRR, is a known Israeli intelligence front being utilized in this country recently, we discover in the mainstream press, to spy on political dissidents in Pennsylvania. Now, these are legitimate political dissidents, folks. These are people ranging from left to right who do not believe in violence. These are people who cannot in any reasonable form be construed as a threat to anyone's safety or security. They are simply exercising their First Amendment rights. When Zionist Governor Ed Rendell of Pennsylvania, who was the former Zionist governor, or the Zionist mayor of Philadelphia, where I was living when I was doing additional graduate work, and by the way, Rendell has since apologized for the fact that the state of Pennsylvania has had a contract with this ITRR organization. He's never had a problem with it before up until this happens, right? Mm-hmm. And of course, Ed Rendell does not mention that Cheltenham High School, which is a stone's throw away from where I was living in suburban Philadelphia when I was going to my postgraduate seminary, Cheltenham High School is the alma mater of Benjamin Netanyahu, the current Prime Minister of Israel. That is how deeply all of this runs. Mm-hmm. Now, keeping all of this in mind, including this expose on the ITRR that was recently in the national and international press, this really underscores, or should underscore for everyone hearing my voice right now, that Jeff Rense, who supposedly is an American patriot, who supposedly is concerned about the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, who supposedly has been concerned about the constitutional implications for law-abiding Americans of such things as the USA Patriot Acts, the Military Commissions Act of 2006, NSA, warrantless wiretapping, the total disregard of several presidential administrations now for the FISA courts in regard to sanctioning intelligence agencies to do things that are considered, according to our laws, to be unlawful. And with all of that, Jeff Rense, who presumably publicly stands against all of that, has not only been running these pro-Zionist agitation propaganda articles recently on his site, but after a certain amount of internal discussion in all of this, has now threatened not only a colleague of mine, Mark Glenn, with a federal investigation and being reported to the very types of Homeland Security people who have been uncovered and exposed now for being involved in all of this unlawful activity just in the state of Pennsylvania alone. He not only wants to sick all of that on Mark Glenn for reasons that are totally unjustifiable, but folks, hear what I'm about to say. All of you who have been involved with this guy and donating money to him, all of you who have given your email addresses to him, all of you who believe that your personal information as a law-abiding American is safe